Hi, everybody. You're listening to the Spin Market Report on the Spin Market Podcast Network, where real stories meet real impact. Our podcast network has thousands of local and regional listeners tuning in each week. That means businesses are getting heard and communities are staying connected. Did you want to get your brand in front of a highly engaged audience? Contact Spin Market today at www.spinmarket.com for more information. Now let's get into the episode.
It's the Spin Market Report. Here's your host, Peter Stockdale.
Oh yeah, we are back. It's Marketing Monday.
It is Marketing Monday.
It's always Marketing Monday on the Spin Market Report. And today we've got a special guest.
Hello.
The one and only.
It's your daughter.
Yes, Kinsey.
Kinsey Lombard. Is that correct?
Yep,
All
that's
right.
me.
So you are the retail media specialist over at Casey's,
Yes.
or one of them?
I work at the Casey's corporate
Okay,
store
so
support center. is
Are
what we like
there
to call
other
it.
are there other retail media specialists over there?
Yes, we are a mighty team of 5.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Oh, only 5 of you doing all that.
Yes.
5 for how many stores?
We have almost 3,000 stores, I think. Yep.
Jeez. Well, can you tell us what a retail media specialist does?
Yeah.
Or just generally speaking?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like my role has kind of evolved as we've launched our retail media network. It is new. I started at Casey's 2 years ago, and that was when we kind of kicked off this retail media network as well. Essentially, we have clients come to us and they might have an offer, or maybe they're launching a new flavor, maybe they have a new product, or they're completely new to Casey's and they want to get that messaging out to our guests. So they come to us and we work with our leadership team to try to come up with a omni-channel media plan that we think would suit the messaging that they're looking for, and really try to achieve those clients' goals.
So is this like TV commercials, or is this like stand-up cardboard cutouts, or is this like the ads I see in the store when I'm walking around the store?
Honestly, none of that really. More like an email. If you're
Okay.
getting an app notification on your phone.
Okay.
If you go into our app, we have ads within the app as well.
Okay.
So we have cross-channel ads that we're running.
You may want to elaborate a little bit more on what an omni-channel is. Some people don't. That's a media word, and other people may not realize what it is.
I kind of think of it more as like a portfolio. So we have subscriber messaging, so we can email them, we can send them an app notification. If they go into our app, we have what we call an in-app message. So it pops up over the screen, tells you what the promotion is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So what got you kind of started in that? Did you study marketing at school, or did you have influence from someone else in your family maybe? Or
A little bit of both, I would say. Definitely my mom obviously is in marketing. My brother was in marketing sales. So definitely kind of was exposed to it at an early age.
Wasn't farming.
No. But yeah, I went to UNI, seemed pretty interested in marketing, so that's what I went into. I also had a minor in leadership, and then kind of got into inside sales at my first real job, I would say, outside of college. And then I got an opportunity at Dotdash Meredith to work on digital. So that was kind of where my digital experience started. And then as of a couple of years ago, I found an opportunity at Casey's that was really looking into the path that I wanted to continue on. So jumped into it, and I love Casey's. I love the brand, so thought it was going to be a good opportunity for me.
So what does a typical day look like for a retail media specialist?
Yeah. I can't say that every day is ever the same, but for the most part, one perk of my job is I get to take my kids to the office.
Oh, cool.
We do have in-house Casey's daycare, so that's really nice, having my kiddos right there on site. And then, get up to my desk, check some emails. We usually have supplier calls throughout the week, so prepping for that, making sure that I have all the information as far as what we're working with on them, what's upcoming, that kind of thing. And we work a lot internally with our teams because there's so many moving pieces across the omni-channel marketing team. We're really trying to make sure we're collaborating, everyone's on the same page, and we're all working towards the same goal.
How does your work tie into the larger aspect of everything that Casey's doing? You kind of touched on it just a little bit. There's, you're just a team of 5 there, but there's a whole marketing team at Casey's. So how do you tie into what they're all doing there?
Yep. So, I mean, as an enterprise, our goal is to drive that store traffic, right? We're trying to increase that all the time. So what our goal is to really hit the right guests with the right message at the right time. So that way we can drive those trips, drive those transactions. That's our overall goal.
And by hitting that right traffic at the right time, you are really able to concentrate those ads to those people to have a better return on your investment as far as who's going to actually be coming into the store and then coming in and purchasing the product.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, we'll be getting into ROI here in just a second.
Cool.
Here,
All right. That's so much fun.
so do you work more like internally with Casey's or externally with other companies that are trying to maybe do some launches or things like that? Or is it both?
It's a little bit of both. Mostly externally with our suppliers, but we want to have that cohesiveness and we still want to have that Casey's branding. So we do let our suppliers' brand shine through, but we also kind of want to have our ads be a little bit cohesive. So whether it's just using like our Casey's font on some of the copy within the ads, like if you were to put them side by side, you can kind of see a little bit of that similarity between all the ads.
Okay, so you work in retail media. How is that different than what we do here at Spin Market? What another marketing, how is what you do different than marketing in general?
Right. I think it's really unique in the fact that we have first party data that we can capture. We have that data of the transactions that our guests are making, so we know what they're interested in, we know what they're buying, and so we can really target them. And again, it's finding that right person at the right time to send the right message. I think that's what really captures a lot of our engagement and makes us successful.
Yeah, that first person marketing end of it, that's harder for us to work with our businesses because a lot of them are not collecting that data themselves. And so we're trying to get them, when we're working on the marketing, as I always tell them, I can get them to your door. Mm-hmm. I just don't know what happens after they walk through that door because you're not doing or do not have the tools or whatever it may be internally to track that first person. But you do with your point of sale and all of that.
Yep. And we have our loyalty program. So if you're not a rewards member, be a Casey's rewards member, it's definitely worth it.
That's awesome though, because I mean that's the beneficial part because you have this thing, the app, the Casey's Rewards members. You get to see who's buying what and when they're buying it and how it pertains to that particular person. And that's something that the best we have to offer a lot of people, since we don't have the internal aspect of their companies, is we go by foot traffic or by digital traffic, I guess you would say. But and that's I don't want to say that's the best we can do, but that's what we utilize for how whether or not what we're doing has an ROI towards our clients. And then, like you said, it's up to them to kind of see what happens when somebody walks through the door. So it's kind of the same, but it's a little different because you have a different set of metrics that you get to look at.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely helped us. And, if we're promoting like an energy drink or whatnot, we don't want to be targeting, say, someone that only buys candy. We want to be reaching out to those people that came in within the past couple months to buy an energy drink.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So you're actually kind of trying to provide something in a sense to the people that are already going to buy the thing anyways. Absolutely. It's like, well, here's $1 off or whatever, just throw it out in theory.
Or a new product, a brand new energy drink out there as well. Right. Or something that's maybe even as a partnering type of a program. It might be an energy drink and a package of potato chips or whatever it may be, or donut. It's National Donut Day.
It is National Donut Day.
Dang.
I think we have a free donut at Casey's. Not that this will apply, but
we'll be a little late when this goes out.
We'll be a little late on that. Edit.
But the day we're recording this, yes. And it's the one day I didn't bring donuts to the office. So I feel bad.
Usually Fridays is a day.
Oh, nice. Playing off of that, I was also going to say that meal bundles have been something that's really been successful for us. Putting your energy drink with like a pizza slice is one of our things that we really like to do. We see a lot of engagement, a lot of transactions, really drive sales there.
I mean, that's great too, because I mean, you just go out on your lunch break, you grab a slice of pizza or two, and then you get a fountain soda or whatever it happens to be. And I see those all the time, like walking through the store, not necessarily on the app because I'm not on the app as much, but I see those, and those. I definitely know what you're talking about because every time I see it, I'm like, I should probably get a couple slices of pizza. Yep. So it works. It definitely works.
You got to take it home and drink with it. Maybe a bag of chips.
Yep. So what kind of media campaigns or initiatives do you think you're most involved with? Is it, again, like just going from supplier to the consumer kind of thing, and then you utilize whatever goes through the app to see what kind of ROI you have?
Yes. Yep. I would say our most common campaigns are usually promoting some kind of offer that the supplier has going on. And again, sometimes they have new flavor launching. We have a few exclusives that we've had to Casey's. or even maybe they're completely new to Casey's, just making sure we're getting that messaging out to our guests that is available.
That makes sense. Cause yeah, I guess it's been a long time since I worked in retail space, but yeah, every now and then like the suppliers will be like, we have a deal on, whatever XYZ soda or a potato chip brand or whatever it happens to be. And they'll allow you guys to kind of pass the savings on downward to the consumer.
Right. Yep.
I kind of forgot about that actually. So that's, yeah. How do you decide what products or promotions to highlight? Is that something that is kind of top down given to you, or is that suppliers in, or how do you kind of decide that?
Definitely more of a top down. We really rely on our merchandising team. They're the ones that are in the stores. They know what's going on, and what's really going to make the most impact on the business. So we kind of followed their lead on what they think is going to be a big initiative for us.
All right. So how about like a recent campaign that you've helped run? Do you have one like in mind, or just kind of generally, can you talk about like how it kind of got launched, or how it all happened?
Yeah. Recently we've had like C4 came to us with an exclusive flavor. So they really wanted to promote that within all of our omni channels. So we, put together a plan, and when we have exclusives, we really try to tap into all of our channels. So we pretty much ran it across everything we could. We had digital menu boards, we did app pushes, email, app inbox. We really wanted to create that exposure for our guests, just so that they knew, this is something special that Casey's has to offer. Come in and try it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did you find any of a different omni-channel that worked better than another on that campaign, or was it pretty much across the board, or what did you able to digest from the data that you got?
Yes. One thing about like app pushes, for example, is really cool that we can see. We can go back in and we can look directly, like break it out by day, and you can see how sales are. So you can see like after we send an app push, we usually see a spike in total units movement, right? So, and it'll even have a halo effect. So a couple days afterwards, we still see a jump in those total units that have been sold. So that's kind of really cool to be able to see. You can tie and correlate directly back to our access campaigns.
And to take that another step further, since you have 3,000 stores that you're covering in different states, you surely see a difference in the products and the sale of them in different areas. Yes. So what goes in Fort Dodge may not necessarily be the highest selling in Des Moines or any other place.
Right. Yep. Definitely. Geography depends on that.
Yeah. I mean, it totally makes sense. 'Cause I mean, Casey's is not just like an Iowa thing.
Right.
It's wide and has a wide enough berth where like, you go up north far enough and it's like, this is going to be way different than if you're in the southern portion where Casey's is.
We're all the way down to Texas now.
All the way down to Texas.
Yes.
Holy cow.
Yep.
So you talked a little bit about how customer data and feedback, it's a lot of it is who bought what and how well did the promotion work. But is there any like customer feedback? Do you have any like way to have the customers be like, this was a great idea? Or is it mostly just like they purchased what we kind of pushed towards them and XYZ percentages, this did work? Is that kind of what you use for your return on investment?
Yep. We kind of really look at conversions. Like any of our on-site banners that we do, we can track if they clicked on the ad and then they actually added the product to their cart. So we do play a lot on that. And then we do have really great customer service too. They send, I don't know if you've ever gotten our Casey's surveys afterwards. They're always asking for feedback. So if they ever have a bad experience, good experience, we usually get that information communicated back to us and we can apply it to our future campaigns.
Customer feedback is very important.
It is.
So when you ask for customer feedback, I always get some pushback from our clients going, well, I do ask and nobody answers it. Mm-hmm. Do you have any kind of idea of the percentage of feedback that you get? So you send out 100 asks for feedback. How many do you average come back? They don't keep that?
Yeah, I'm sure we have it somewhere, but just not part.
Not on there. I was going to say, but again, it's constantly asking that. And that's what I have to keep telling clients. You just have to constantly, don't get discouraged because one didn't give you a review. Right. Ask the next time because things get busy and sometimes they don't, or make it as convenient as possible with a QR code or whatever it may be so that they can actually get to it. And Google, of course, has just changed how you can give Google reviews and has an easier way for you to do it, to direct it, that they actually are providing. I think that was just in the last week or two that they did that.
Are a lot of your guys' reviews straight through the app?
Yes, you can do that, or they send like an email too that you can do.
Oh, cool. So. Cool.
Yep.
How about an example of a campaign that just like wildly exceeded your expectations? I'm sure there's one. You know?
Yep. Back in January, we had another exclusive with Doritos Collisions, and that product we couldn't keep on the shelves. So it went really well. Again, it was an exclusive, so we tried to hit all of our channels. We sent emails, we did digital menu boards across all platforms, and engagement was extremely high. It just did really well all over. So it was very cool to see the success of that one.
Do you think that was because that was like a product that was unique to Casey's, that people were like, I got to come in here and try this Dorito brand, or what?
I think that, and because we had a consistent message, we had in-store signage, and that was the same as what our digital marketing was as well. So I feel like just having that consistent message and consistent exposure to the guests, I think that really drove the engagement and the sales on that.
So you talked about like when you saw that Casey's had a job opening in this field, you were like, I've got to go here. Was there something that drew you to Casey's? Was it all the amenities that they have as a corporation as well? Like you mentioned, they have in-house daycare, which is something that's really great. I've noticed that's been something, the last 10, 15, 20 years, a lot of the bigger companies have kind of been helping, their employees with. Is that something like the culture and the environment that at Casey's was something that kind of drew you there as well?
Yes, I think so. I only heard good things about Casey's, and I think just growing up around the Casey's brand my entire life really made a difference too. I feel like one of our big things is we're in so many rural communities, and being from a small town, we're the fill-in grocer, we're the pizza shop, we're the donut store, so it's like all of those things. There were so many times where we ran out of something, but we didn't want to go 30 minutes to the grocery store, so we ran into Casey's really quick, or we didn't want to make dinner. There wasn't a close restaurant. We're going to go get some pizza, So I just feel like I was able to relate to the company and the brand so well that I was like, this has to be a perfect fit for me.
I bet everybody listening has been through exactly that, where they're just like, I don't want to cook food. I'm going to get Casey's pizza.
Yep.
I mean,
or even, like growing up on a farm, my dad's a farmer. I can't count the number of times that we went into Casey's, grabbed a pizza on the way out to the field, and, you eat a pizza on the back of a tailgate of a truck in the middle of the field, right?
Yeah. And I've always said he has a convenience store fetish first.
Yes.
Because it seems like if he sees a Casey's or whatever, he has to stop and get one.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to say I'm different, but weirdly enough, like I'll find myself like pulling in to Casey's and be like, I forgot why I came in here. And so,
but I'm going to go in anyway.
I usually go in and get something.
And you come out with your arms full of things.
No, I don't need a sack. And you just you have to set it all on top of your car to get in.
Yep.
Okay, so here's a fun one. Were there any unexpected things that you advertised that you were like, I'm buying this? This isn't necessarily on the list, but had there ever been anything where you're doing the launch and you're just like, I'm actually going to stop in and grab some of this if it pops up on my app?
Yes. Honestly, yes. A lot of the new products that we get in, I feel like I'm always like, I want to try that. Like we're marketing it. Like I feel like I have to go in and try it so then I can, relate back to the brand better, just to be able to kind of have that conversation with our suppliers. I feel like it's important.
That's fun. How about fun and unexpected stories? Is there anything that stands out where you were just like, I had no clue this existed, or you had more fun, actually creating these marketing and media strategies or helping, create these? Was there any of those that you had?
Yeah. Just top of mind, something that I just recently did was we were a sponsor for the Red Bull soapbox races. So I got to go.
That were a hit in Des Moines.
It was so fun. So I got to go there for the day and watch everybody race down the hill. I didn't realize it was going to be as entertaining as it was. It was just a very cool experience. So that was just something that, I didn't expect for me to be able to have the opportunity to do while working on retail media.
And what did they make their soapbox out of?
Our soapbox was pizza boxes, and it made it all the way down the hill, no crashes. It jumped and went through the figure eight, and then we also had pizza slice hurdles, I guess you could call them, and it successfully made it down the hill. So
honestly, from the highlights I saw, a lot of people didn't survive the jumps.
That was one thing that I didn't realize. A lot of the soapboxes actually don't make it down the hill successfully.
Yeah, they fell apart going over the hill.
They didn't even get hardly out of the starting gate.
Yep, the ramp usually took most of them down. So,
So do you have any fun like advice you would give somebody, like this is something that you went to school for and you kind of hunted your way around until you found a place that you liked, and now you're at Casey's. Is there anything you have that you would like, let's say somebody's listening to this and like, this sounds actually like a fun job. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to somebody that is maybe looking towards going into something like this?
Yeah. I think I feel like I love this area of marketing so much because it's constantly evolving and everyone's constantly learning about things. So I think if you're eager to learn and adapt, it would definitely be something that would be up your alley. It's very unique and just a lot of fun to be involved in.
Yeah, you get to do something different every day.
Every day.
Kind of talking about, yeah.
Yep.
Always different ad campaigns.
Yes.
Different new channels and things that we can use for marketing. And I think that's one of the things that's difficult for our clients is staying up to date on that or understanding it. And that's where we're coming in and offering, okay, did you realize Google's doing this? Or did you realize that this is a new service or app that we can provide you out there? And this, in the marketing world, I think we've seen more diversity and more changes in the last even 5 years than what they saw for 20 years before that.
Right. Yeah. It's been crazy how much it's changed. And
Yes.
we're constantly always looking for new ways to tap into more inventory. So like one thing that we're using now is IDC Pros. So it's a screen on the fountain machines. So it's just another way for us to put an ad out to our guests when they're at the point of sale to really drive those engagements.
That's awesome. So as far as like media, marketing, things like that, because that's what you're involved in, is there something that is in that field that the average customer does not know that you guys are actually doing? Something that maybe there's more work to this than you think there is, or something like that?
Yeah. I guess not so much related to marketing, but a lot of things that some of our guests might not know is that we're a number 3 in convenience stores, and then we're the 5th largest pizza restaurant. So,
number 3 in the U.S.?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. So that was something that I was, even when I started at Casey, I was like, wow, that's crazy. So I think that's something that not a lot of guests know about us.
And when you say pizza stores, you mean
We're talking all of the pizza
Right.
stores.
Yep.
whether it's Domino's or whoever, you're number 5.
Yep.
I remember seeing that in Wall Street Journal a couple of years ago when you guys broke into the top 10, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
There's a gas station that's in the top 10 for pizza.
Yep. And we're only in the Midwest, which makes us even more unique, I feel like, so.
Justifiably so, though. Honestly, the pizza's really good. It's hard to walk by the warmer and not grab a slice, especially if there's
Just
a deal.
Calls you,
Yeah. The last thing I'm going to ask you is about ROI. So this is something that, again, this is something we work with here, but we don't necessarily have as much hands-on.
It's harder for us sometimes to really get the ROI because we've got to have that cooperation on the side of the client to be able to give us that information as far as how many sales they actually made or who the people are that actually purchased from them the product.
Yeah. So like, is it mostly just through the app it's probably not your department specifically, but I'm sure you get those numbers when somebody says like, you made this campaign and it did this good, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So we have a platform, it's called Power BI, and it tracks all of our sales. So I can break it down by the year. I can look year over year. Wow. I can look by product. I can look by category. So it really dives into all of the details on that, and we can really dig in.
Oh, sweet.
And then we also have a partnership with Circana, and so they can dig into lapsed buyers. We can look at were they new to the category, were they new to the brand, were they lapsed, like did they buy previously and then they hadn't purchased for a while and they came back to us. So it's a lot of really cool information. And I did a lot of digital in my prior career, but we never had that kind of information. So that's been something that I've really been able to tap into. It's been super interesting. Then you can really see like the progress and the impact that you have on the sales.
Well, you're bringing up a really good point, again, that I emphasize to clients. We have that pretty picture that you see, but that isn't necessarily what really drove you to purchase that. You saw the picture, but it's the stuff in the back end that we're looking at, the data, the information, pointing it to the right demographic, and then pulling that data in, because you even alluded to how it changes, where maybe they bought it yesterday and they haven't bought any now for another week or two. Right. What happened?
So how do we bring them back in, and get them to start purchasing again?
Yeah, and specifically targeting the right people for that kind of stuff to get the best return on investment, because it's
absolutely,
you're probably not going to have give Cheryl ads for energy drinks. You know, she's probably not a Red Bull person, you know.
Well,
Depends on the day.
it's on the day. No.
Yeah, you were mentioning that. I think one of the coolest things that you mentioned here was the fact that you have internal stuff that you can look at, but you also have some form of like an external that also, like if you need even further extrapolation of the data, they can go that route too, which I think is one of the coolest things is you have everything in-house that you need, but you also, if needed, can go out of house and be like, we need more data on this, and you guys crunch the numbers. I think that's one of the things a lot of people, maybe in marketing, they're just like, we have somebody here that does that. They look at the stuff, you know, and it's like, but it doesn't always hurt to have somebody on the outside look at it too, because they might be able to pull different data or see it in a different fashion.
Right. There's always another layer that you can dive into. You know?
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the coolest things about this is the fact that you are looking into the numbers and seeing what works, what doesn't, why it worked, why it didn't, and then adjusting and going on to the next thing.
Yeah. Always applying that, you know, you learn as you go. So we've definitely been applying what we've been learning through all the data and applying that to our future campaigns and making sure that we're adjusting as we need to. Yeah,
I'm sure that's to some people probably like the boring part of the job, quote unquote. They want to just like go in and do the work and get the check and put it in the bank and call it good. But like there are benefits to actually going in and looking at the data. You can go in and be like, these things are working and we need to actually double down on these things. And those might not be working as well. So maybe we put those on the back burner for now. Or since they're not working as well, we can adjust it and see if we can actually make these things work better.
Absolutely.
You know, that's something that, again, in marketing, it takes time. It takes a lot of data to actually make these points that are like, this is what's working, this is what's not. I think that's one of the coolest things about this is knowing that there's a big corporation out there. You know, I don't want to say big, you guys are pretty big though, but like you have the ability to do this internally, but you also have the ability to go external with it, which I think is very important for people to remember.
And there's more and more businesses that are coming up that are providing that service. I mean, I'm bombarded every day by a new company that's, okay, hey, we've got this and we can do this, and this. Let's talk about what we can do for your clients. Right. It's mind-boggling how much it's going and changing. And digital is digital. It is what marketing is today.
I couldn't imagine, like, could you imagine, I mean, obviously a lot of what you're doing wouldn't work if there was no digital, but could you imagine looking at spreadsheets to try to figure all this out?
But that's what they did.
That's what they did.
Yes, that's what they did. For many years, it was a case of looking at the spreadsheet and spending more time on the dollars that they spent versus what the return is. Right. I just had a client that said, wow, I didn't realize we were spending this much. And I said, yeah, you know, we've been talking about it. This is what's going on. And I said, but look at this. This is the number that we know you have had the opportunity to sell to, and take that and by their smallest package that they could provide them, take that and multiply it out. You have earned X amount of dollars over that you've brought in on revenue based on that marketing. And it was like 10 times what they had spent, but they didn't look at those numbers as far as the number of people and what was the average spend on each of those individuals.
Yeah. Conversion rates, again, is another very important thing. And I think that's something that, as far as here at Spin Market compared to what you're doing, is a little bit different because we don't necessarily see these things directly. You know, these aren't things that we see, but you actually get reports, I'm sure. And that's one of the things that I think is really cool about your job is you actually have the ability to see whether or not what you're doing is working and adjust and then go from there. I mean, obviously it's your job and it's what they're helping you out with to help you do your job. But at the same time, it's one of those things I think is really cool about that.
It is. Yeah, it's definitely been something that I've enjoyed in this position, having that data and being able to relate it to how our campaigns are impacting sales. It's been very cool and a good learning experience for me. So
yeah, I mean, there's nothing worse than like doing a bunch of work and then you're just like, did it work? Right. Did it do good? I don't know, you know, and they give you the availability to look at that kind of stuff.
Like you can look at click-through rates and engagement rates all the time, but what impact did it actually have on driving units, you know? So that's been really cool to be able to see that and correlate everything back together. That's really awesome. Yeah, this has been a fun talk for sure, because I guess I didn't really, going into this, I just wrote like a very wide berth of questions because I was like, I'm not exactly 100% sure what's going on here, what exactly your job is. Right. And this has been very, very enlightening because it's like a small portion of our job,
but it's like the part that we don't see is also what you're working on, which is that ROI, the conversion rates, et cetera, which is stuff that we don't necessarily always have the data to work with unless somebody
we have
gives
to
it.
assume sometimes on it especially if they are not collecting it or using it and saying, hey, we really need to have you start putting some type of standard operating procedures internally so that we can be tracking this if you really want to break it down and see where your dollars are going.
Absolutely.
That's super cool. Random question before we kind of go to the last question here. Did you start working there before the app was a thing, or did you start working there afterwards?
Afterwards, yep.
Okay.
I'm not sure how long it had been live, but yep, definitely they were already running the app. But adding the digital banners was kind of like the new aspect when I first started. So that was all new and something that they incorporated into the app.
Cool. I was gonna say, if you had been there long enough, I was gonna say, like, what was it like before the app? 'Cause I'm sure it was way different, you know.
Yes, it had to have been.
That app has really changed, you know, things at Casey's, and they've been doing really well because of it. And I mean, there's a lot of my friends that are just like, they'll just pull up their phone and be like, I'm going to get a donut because it's half off, or, you know, whatever it happens to be, and they'll just like leave and go get it and come right back because there's a Casey's, you know, right across town from, you know, most small towns. So
Absolutely.
like that's really kind of cool to know that that's working like that.
Well, and I think that app actually related directly into the job that you're doing as well.
Yep.
It created that new department within Casey's organization.
Yep. Definitely give us the opportunity to launch our retail media network. So yeah.
What a smart idea to use digital to your advantage.
Yeah.
Darn, I hate when that happens.
Oh, wow. So as we get close to the end of this, you've been kind of involved in marketing somehow, probably most of your adult life, you know, with Cheryl here being somebody really close to you. So is there a time in your life where marketing impacted you? You know, maybe you didn't notice it until afterwards, or was it just being around it your whole life and you're just like, actually, this is just a second nature thing?
I feel like it's definitely more of a second nature kind of thing. You know, you just are always paying attention to branding and how people are trying to market themselves. So I feel like, yeah, it's just another aspect of my life that I guess it's just second nature to me. So
Yeah. It's cool
grew
that
up around it, and it's just part of your life.
it's cool that you went into like different areas of it. Cause I mean, nothing against Cheryl, but you like went into the digital side of, for like, as far as creating media and stuff. And that's not necessarily something that was, you know, your ledger domain. It wasn't necessarily your specific talent that you had. So you went to school for that. Now you guys, it's just kind of funny to think that you guys could combine forces and make two halves of this really awesome thing.
And then you add Brandon on top of it.
Yep.
Oh boy, would be a mighty threesome. Threesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think you need to bring him in here. You know?
No,
I think that's
well, I have thought about it. We need to get him to come over.
Yeah.
Well, this has been really great. This has been very enlightening, honestly, because again, this was something I didn't really know too much about, and I feel like I got a pretty good handle on what you guys are doing down there. So if anybody's looking for any links, I'm going to put the Casey's link down below.
Please do.
Not that they need a whole lot of extra traffic, but it's going down there. So click on that.
And we want you to track after this launches what happens out there, okay?
And make sure you get the app too, because if you don't have the app, there's always like just deals and things like that. You know, again, my favorite part about it is it's like, oh, if I always buy energy drinks, every now and then you get a coupon for an energy drink, and it's like, why wouldn't you want $1 off or whatever it happens to be? So it benefits the customer or benefits the consumer just as much as it benefits them to gather the data. So
and follow us on social media too. We're pretty entertaining there. I feel like our social media team does a really good job. So they keep it fun.
Yes, I'll put those links down below too.
Yeah.
So click on them, check them out. Yeah, I do recall a few times seeing some Casey stuff that gets posted online, and it gets shared around enough because it's funny.
It's funny, yep.
You know, so
they do a great job.
That's another thing. Social media, not as easy as you think, and it's kind of fun to watch companies how they've changed over the years from being like very strict and professional to kind of just goofing around.
Absolutely.
And it just translates to the common person a lot better that way.
Yep.
So
like, how do you make a convenience store fun, and so they've definitely learned how to tie that in and have a good time with pizza and convenience. So it's cool to see.
I love it. All right, so now I want pizza.
Always.
Kinsey, thank you very much for joining us on this episode. This is, again, very enlightening. I didn't really know what I was getting into, and it's kind of neat to know that this job actually exists, and you have the ability to look at the data and see whether or not, almost instantaneously, whether or not what you're doing is working.
Right. Yep.
That's super cool.
It's very cool. It's been a great experience.
We have a little thing that we started with Buster the Bulldog.
Okay.
We have you rub his head for good luck. And you see how shiny it's getting? That's how many new people are I mean, Buster's head.
Awesome.
Thank you.
This has been very good. Thank you very much, Kinsey.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarketwith2ks.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarketwith2ks.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarketwith2ks.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarketwith2ks.com.